Hey guys, welcome back. Today's we're going to be moving on to CSS. All right, so it's part of your part to web development, and basically today will be about introduction. So we'll be looking. So what we'll be doing during CSS, I'll teach you how to write the rules. I'll teach you how to apply the rules to HTML pages and how it actually works. So basically, CSS allows you to specify rules of how you want the content of your um website to look. So you could have probably adjust it. Maybe you want the background to be black, you want the background to be white, you want the color to be this, you want this font face or anything. So that's basically what CSS will do. So basically, our HTML has been looking like a Word document. So we actually want it to look like a website, not like a Word document. So we're going to be looking at how to actually put that into place. So one of the things that comes to play when using CSS, to understand that to see your you should imagine that all your elements are inside a box. All right, so you should imagine that like there's an invisible box around every single element. So for example, if you look at this page, okay, let me see, can I edit this somehow? I think I want a pen. How did they do this thing? Okay, okay, so I don't. Okay. So, for example, um, in the England here, England is underlined, English estate is underlined, and those are different elements, and this is in italics. All right. So, one thing you should understand when you're working in CSS is that each of these things they are in their own box. This is a box on its own. This is a box on its own. This cottage garden is a box on its own. England here is a box on its own. This here too is a box on its own. Everything is also inside an entire box. Everything is an entire box. So basically, like this is like a block element. So it's called a BE, a block element, a block element, and a block element. These ones are inline elements and inline element. So um so that's it. So this is how it actually looks like from the explanation I just made. So we have to, in HTML talk about the different elements. We said that there's inline and there's block elements. So your block elements would be your body, your H1, your H2, your P tags, your I tags, italics, and A and O. So example of styles that you could do in your CSS, you could change the width, the height, the background images, typeface, and so on. So let's actually get started. And actually, how can we make a CSS style? So I've opened the file. Okay. Okay, this should be a good example. But all these ones I deleted them. We're going to do them again. Don't bother about this. So basically, when it comes to elements, CSS works by associating rules with HTML elements. So these rules actually govern how the specified element should be displayed. So a CSS element would usually have a CSS rule rather will have two parts, which would be a selector and a declaration. So for example, if you let's take a look at the P, let's take a look at this H, let's take a look at this one here. So I'll try and clear everything else. So this file doesn't exist, by the way. So let's take this, our H1 here is called a selector. Remember I mentioned that CSS has two parts, selector and declaration. So our H1 here is our selector, and here is what we have here is our declaration. So what selectors will basically do is to indicate which element rules applies to the same rule, applies to what, and we can apply that same rule more than one element, and we can separate them with different commas. So if I want to apply the same rule to H2, to H3, and to P, so all I just have to do is to separate it with a comma. So what declarations will do, which you have here, is that it indicates how the elements referred to in the selector should be styled. So declarations are split into two parts, which is a property and a value. So this is a property and this is a value. Okay. So a property will indicate which aspect of the element you want to change. So here we want to change the fourth family. We have values to specify the settings you want to use for the chosen properties. For example, if we were to specify a color property, then the value is the color that you want those elements to actually take. So that's how that works. Okay, so there are two ways we can style our there are two ways we can style our HTML. We could do there are inline, there's internal styling and there's external styling. So quickly do something now. Let's create a new file and do index.html. Okay, and let's do our boilerplate and let's just do a random distance. So I'll just do this. Let's do h1 potato. Alright, we go with p tag. So there are dozens of different potato. Okay, yeah, potato. Right, is usually described as early, second, early, and main crop. So this is a simple HTML file, as you can see. Let us break this into. This is a simple HTML file, but they're dealing with CSS, so I won't do much of that. I think I'll bring this down. Okay. So yeah. So when it comes to styling, then I create an external. We do style.css. That's how you save it. So the first thing we want to do is to link our HTML file to this external CSS. So when you create a file for a CSS, that's called external CSS. When you're styling inside the HTML file, which we're going to look at, that is actually called internal CSS. Okay, so we're going to go to let's come to our head and we're going to use the link element. Alright, I'm going to do style.css. Alright, so the link element is used in an HTML document to tell the browser where to find the CSS file used to style the page. So, and it is an empty element in the sense that like there's no like opening, does not need a closing tag. Alright, so there are three attributes that you can put here. You have href, you can also put type. As you go on, you may see things like this type, and you have rel. And rel is this. So what the href is saying here is that it specifies the path to the CSS file, and type specifies the type of document that's being linked. You don't only use link for CSS, you can use for any other thing. Then this one rel specifies the relationship between the HTML page and the file that is linked to. So the value should be style sheet when you're linking to a CSS file, basically. So let's save this and go to our style.css and let's do our first CSS style. So let's style the body. We want to give our body a font family of Arial. I want to give a background color of RGB. Okay, and let's give this 185, 179, and 175. Let's save this. Let's go back to our HTML file and let's open it on our web browser. Open a live server. Let's right click and click open a live server. Alright, I think I have so many pages filled up here. I'm just going to close it. Close that tabs. So this is basically how it doesn't look so fine, but you've basically done it. You can give it a brighter color. So let's style our p tags. Okay, I'm going to keep this on auto save. Save. Okay. So let's give our h1 the color of RGB. If you want to sound RGB, we'll deal with colors and you see how all these stuffs work. This ought to be color. So that's basically it. We can also give a p tag a color of red. So that's how CSS Yes, and an HTML page can actually use more than one CSS style sheet. So just know that you have to use link for every of the CSS file. So when talking about inline internal CSS, how do we do that? So I'm going to just comment that out, and to comment that out, press Ctrl and forward slash. Right. So just come here and let's create a style. Okay, and we're going to give this we're going to do the same elements, same styling we gave it. Let's copy what we have here and come over here and paste it here, so you can see the same effect happens. All right, so that's basically how you do an inline styling. So when building a site with more than one page, you should use an external CSS style sheet. It allows all the pages to use the same rules rather than always repeating in page. Imagine you have 10 pages and you'll be putting style external CSS in each of the pages. This not doesn't really make sense. But if you're doing a single page, why not go ahead and put in the same sheet? So what putting an external what using an external CSS will do will also keep your keep the content will keep the content separate from how the page looks, and I feel like it can make your page so bulky. I don't know. And and it means that you can change if you're using the same style sheet for multiple pages. It means that if you change a particular style, the same style can apply to all your pages. Then having to be going to each one page, one page, one page, one page, one page, and be changing it one by one. So you actually save the time, a lot of time. So let's talk about CSS selectors. And just remember sorry, just remind you of what selectors are. I think I'm about to choke. Yeah, to remind you what selectors are this. H1 is a selector. What is a selector? So let's look at what selectors are. Alright, I'm going to use this example. Okay. Okay, in a minute. What's going on? Sorry. Yeah, let's look at this. So you have a universal selector. When you talk about universal selector, it means that the selector applies to all the elements in documents. When you talk about type selector, it means I think I should be editing this as I'm talking, so you get what I mean. How did they do this thing? I'm bad at this. I'm bad. I'm trying to expand it so you guys can see. I feel like it's not. Oh wow. So I'm just going to continue. It's nothing. So basically, or if I'm to use paint, so I use paint. I think paint has better. I can like explain as I'm doing it. Image. How did they do this thing? This is just wasting time. Yeah, this is wasting time. I got things to do. Don't save anything, Joe. Really? Okay, let's do this one. Yeah. So don't let this stuff confuse you. I'm just using it to explain. Don't let my face here confuse you. I think let me cover it up. Yep. Alright, so what I'm trying to bring in essence is that I think I can, yeah. So universal selector applies to all elements document, and when you're using a universal selector, you're using this asterisk here. So basically type selector matches elements names. So that's your H1 here, your H2, and your H3. So it targets the H1, H2, and H3. What's a class selector? As you go on, we'll do something like maybe we say class is equals to note. I think I spoke about okay, I didn't really speak about class, but class is used for styling. So it matches an element whose class attribute has a value that matches one specified after the period. So if in your HTML you set maybe your p tag to be class is equals to note. That means when you're styling it, you put dot note and you put your curly braces. So it tags any element whose class attribute as a value of note. So if you do p dot note, that means it's targeting only p element whose class attribute as a value of note, basically. So let's also look at id selector. So an id selector is that would do that it matches an element whose id attribute as a value of the one that's specified up after the pound symbol. So the same thing, you put id is equals to introduction to give you as hashtag introduction. All right, then each universal element will style everything in your web page. Then if you do a child selector, it matches an element that is a direct child of another. So L greater than A targets A element that are children of an li element, but not another li element. So you have an A element is simply a link element, right? So you might have several links in your page, but you actually just want to always style the links that are under your li element, and you know your li element is for lists. So that's basically what this is going to do here. Okay, so it's just going to start only the links that are under the li element. So descendant selector, a descendant selector will match an element that is a descendant of another specified element, not just a direct child. Okay, so pa, for example, let's look this pa. It will target any a element that sits inside the p element, even if there are other elements nested between them. And with practice, you also get to understand what all this means. So adjacent siblings selector, they matches an element that is next sibling of another. So if you have something like this h1 plus p now, it's target the first p tag, the first p element after any h1 element, but not other p elements. So it's the aim of this is to target what? The first one. Alright. So general sibling selector, okay, will match an element that is a sibling of another, although it does not have to be though it does not have to be a directly preceding element. Okay, so if you add two p elements that are siblings of an h1 element, this rule would apply. Okay, so matches siblings of element that are siblings to one another, although it does not have to be a directly preceding element. I don't know how to explain that. Let's say I have something like h1 and right I think h1, okay, and this is, then I have whatever I have inside. I have a p, take this way, so p, okay. Let's see, we have something else. What other element coming up then? See, this is what they're giving. So if you add two p elements are siblings of each element. So yeah, siblings, just add two p elements. It will apply to both. So whatever style, this one they are siblings because they are beside each other. You understand? So that's just basically that about selectors. Okay. So let's talk about CSS rules cascade, and we'll do this real quick. So come here. I'm going to clear this. I kind of I prefer the external styling. This will be the last thing I'll touch, and we'll call it a day. So let me just clear this and try clear that. Let's give this an ID of intro. Okay, and let's give this an italic and say dozen. All right, and of different potatoes, let's give potatoes to be bold, and they are usually described blah blah blah. Right, and let's give a full stop. Let's cut this out and create a new paragraph tag and just paste it. Okay, so let's go to our style it here. Okay, so I'll clear this. So let's start with our general styling. For our general styling, let's give it a font family of Arial. I just feel like I've not been okay. I've been recording. You know, nothing. This one was even painful. I had recorded And my guys, this thing did not record. I was done and I was lost. Like, what should I do? So it gives you a color grade. So it's so annoying. You would have put your art and so into it. Once you realize that, bro, it wasn't recording anything. That's some frustrations, eh? Just because you like doing that thing that will keep you going. So give B, then go PB, give a color of blue, then P intro, give a font size 100%, and P give a font size of 75%. Okay. So I want to use this to explain something important. Alright. So there's something I'm using this to explain the rules that apply to CSS. So there's a last rule. Last rule simply indicates that if two selectors are identical, the two selectors are identical, yet they are these two I tags. If the two are identical, the letter of the two will take precedence. So you can see that here, instead of ID doesn't take color green, it takes color red. That's because this is the letter. So letter is going to have superimposed over the first one. The next one is specificity. If one selector is more specific than the other, the more specific rule will take precedence over the more general ones. So for example, here we'll see that H1 and the general selector. So H1 is more specific than this. So it's not going to take the font family of Arial, it's take the font family of Korean monospace. Okay. Then PB is more specific than just the P tag, even if this one seems to come later, but this is actually more specific. Then P hashtag intro, that is targeting the ID, is more specific than P. This is just a general P. This one is talking about the specifying the paragraph with the ID of intro. So there's one more thing I will touch, and I'll add importance here. Important. Okay. So important. So you add important after any property value to indicate that it should be considered more important than other rules. So that's also to like emphasize on a particular styling. Alright. And we also have inheritance. So if you specify font family or color properties of a body element, it means that that property will apply to most child elements. So the property is called inheritance. So for example, if I gave this a color of what, let's style body and give this maybe a color of 665544. Okay. All right. Let's give this H1. I'm trying to see way to work around this. Okay. All right. Let's put this inside a div. We spoke about div in HTML. So let's give div. Let's give this a class of page. I'm going to start the CSS and we'll do like dot page. Okay. And let's give the body a padding of, let's say, 10 pixels. Okay, you can see that space that just happened. This ought to be color, not column, no. So if we want to style page, we can let's give it a border of 1 pixels solid and 665544. Okay, and let's give a background color of EF. Okay, so now we're going to come to let's add a padding. We're going to give it inherit. Alright, so you can see that he inherited the same padding that we are giving body. So basically it will take up when you use inherit, it actually takes up the property of the parent element. So that's basically all. So thank you guys, this is just the introduction and we'll move on to colors next. See you guys. next time. Like, share, and subscribe. Go to my blog, subscribe to my news, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my newsletter. I've gotten some comments that okay, they liked it. If you don't like it, it's fine. Like, tell me if you want new places that you need me to work on. And if you liked it, tell me that you like it. Also comment on the YouTube um this thing that you like it. Yeah. And also on my blog too, like comment. I really appreciate it. It's encouraging. I can't believe it was like 0 0 maybe because I just started, but still I love you guys. Happy good day.